Boo. Scared you. Sorry, that was really lame. Anyway, so now it's officially autumn, or as about 23% of my viewers like to call it, fall. And with autumn brings us autumn leaves and cuddling up by the fire, wearing comfy socks and drinking hot tea. Autumn also brings us one of my favourite holidays, and that is Halloween. And why is it my favourite holiday, you ask? Well, that's because we get to make a costume and we get to dress up. And this year, I'm going to be making a clown costume. So for this project, I'm going to be making various different kind of garments. I'm going to be making a pair of bloomers. I'm going to make a corset. I'm going to make a little peplum skirt. I'm going to make some kind of puffy sleeves, whether they be like on their own or part of a top, I'm not sure yet. And I'm also going to make a collar, of course, because what kind of clown would I be if I didn't have my little white ruffle collar? So for this project, I've chosen to go for an all-white look, and because it's all white, I wanted to add a bit of interest in by doing different textures. So I got some textured fabric. I got this little embroidered fabric, and it's got like little embroidered flowers on it. And then I also got this cotton dobby is what I believe it's called, and it's got like little stripes on it and like little dots as well. And then of course I did also just get some white cotton because you can't go wrong. And unfortunately, you know how the clowns have the iconic like 3 little pom-poms down there? I can't do that because the pattern that I'm using, the corset like laces up at the front. But instead, I'm going to use this red ribbon just to add a little pop of colour in there. And of course, I did get a whole lot of trims as well. So to make this clown costume, I first made a pair of bloomers. And then I got to... Wait, you didn't think that I wasn't going to show you how to make these blooming lovely bloomers, did you? Let's rewind, and I'm going to actually show you how to make them because I think these are quite a good base for a lot of costumes. So firstly, you're going to need a pair of pink and white avocado shorts exactly like these, or a pair of your own shorts that fit you but aren't tight to your legs. I added an extra 2 or 3 inches around the shorts for seam allowance and so that they had a bit of extra poof to them. We're going for puffy bloomers here. Once I finished cutting out the 2 front and 2 back pieces, making sure to label them, I matched a front with a back piece right sides facing each other and sewed the outer and inner leg seams for both legs. I then overlocked all the seams and made sure to give them a nice, good, crisp press with the iron. My god, that was a mouthful. Who wrote this? I did, of course. Then I flipped one leg right side out and stuffed it into the inside leg so that the right sides were touching each other consensually, of course. Sorry, that joke keeps getting better every time I say it. It's like the 8th time I've said that joke. Anyway, I then sewed along the crotch seam. Currently they look a little bit ridiculous when I put them on, but we just trust the process. To add the elastic around the waist, we are going to create a little tunnel for it by folding over the waist ½ an inch, followed by another inch. Then I sewed all the way around, making sure to leave about a 2-inch gap for the elastic to get pushed through. When doing this, I like to attach a safety pin on each end of the elastic so that you can like feel it as you're pushing it through. But before I forget, okay, you need to make the elastic the circumference of your waist, okay, just before I forget. I decided to add some of the scalp trimming to the bottom of the shorts by sewing them right sides facing each other and then pressing the trimming down away from the shorts. To make the bloomers puffy, I added elastic around the legs about 1 inch away from the trimming. I cut the elastic to be about the circumference of my thigh, and then I stitched the 2 ends together to create a circle. I zigzag stitched this to the shorts, making sure to pull the elastic tight as I went along. There we go. Right, that wasn't hard, Emily. And now I have a beautiful pair of bloomers. Talk about blooming confidence. Am I right, ladies? Am I right? I'm not sorry, right? Some of these puns are going to be really bad, but I'm not sorry. Seeing as it's spooky season and I'm making a Halloween costume, I thought it'd be fun to read you a little spooky poem that I wrote about a clown. So, are you ready to be terrified? It's not actually that scary. It's just like a little poem, but enjoy. Anyway. The clown waits silent in the dark, a painted smile, a hollow spark. His eyes gleam wide beneath the mask, a twisted grin, no need to ask. His shoes tap soft, a creeping sound, in empty rooms where no one is found. A whistle low, a laugh so thin, as cold winds claw to pull you in. His bright colours, his face so pale, a nightmare wrapped in a bright detail. Balloon in hand, his head cocked right, he watches you slip out of sight. But shadows shift and walls grow tall. You swear he's near, you hear his call. A whisper breathes your name just so. The clown is there, you'll never know. Spooky. So for the corset, I chose to use a pattern that I already had in my collection. I'll put a link in my description if you guys want to purchase it. But whilst I make the corset, I want to tell you about my inspirations for this project. So my inspiration for this costume is obviously Pennywise from It, but I also took some inspiration from the Period Tully Mime style clown, which their costumes tend to have a monochromatic look. We don't have men here. Sorry if you're a man and you're watching this. Yeah, their costumes have a monochromatic look to them, and they also use a lot of soft fabrics with exaggerated ruffles. I've also drawn some inspiration from the 19th century circus and burlesque as well, with like the fishnet tights and the corsets, adding like a bit of a playful but slightly edgy touch to this costume. My goal really is to just kind of mesh all these styles together so that the costume not only represents like Pennywise, but all the clowns that came before him. Isn't that sweet? Though Pennywise is definitely the scariest. And before you say anything, right, I hate horror films, right? Hate them, but I did actually watch It before making this costume. That's my dedication to this video, is I had to like put myself through watching a scary film. It was actually quite good. Anyway, we move on. I just got back from walking the dog and I'm literally, right, I'm wearing joggers and a jumper and like this big coat, yeah. And you would think I'll be warm enough, but I was actually still cold. I feel like I could have done with a hat and maybe some gloves for my hands. So I don't know how well I'm gonna do when it comes to taking pictures and videos in this costume, because the costume is like literally shorts and a corset. So I'm not looking forward to that. I'm gonna freeze, but it's fine because the costume's pretty. So we're just gonna focus on how pretty the costume is. But yeah, maybe next year I'm gonna make a costume with layers and something that requires a coat or like long pants at least. Anyway, I need to get back to work. Now I've finished my corset, I'm going to make. I'm not going to need anything. I don't need anything. I'm a strong, independent woman. We digress. Now I've finished my corset, I'm going to make the little skirt that Pennywise wears, but mine's got cute embroidered flowers on them. How cute. So to make the skirt, I opted for the circle skirt method. After cutting out the skirt, I cut down the back so that I would be able to get it on and off. I then folded in the raw edges so that they wouldn't be seen and added some bias binding to the top of the skirt. I made sure that the bias binding was long enough so that you could tie it around your waist easily. After adding this bias binding, I then hemmed it, and that's the skirt finished. The skirt's easy. So the final step to making this costume is making some big puffy sleeves. And I know what's coming. So I didn't really want to clown around making a whole top. You see what I did there? You see what I did? Anyway, because I'm lazy, I decided to just make the sleeves. So I got a pattern piece from my little collection and cut out 2 sleeves. I then matched up the right sides kissing each other, consensually though, of course, consensually. I then sewed and overlocked the edges. On the top edge of the sleeve, I made a tunnel for the elastic to load kids into. To thread the elastic through. That was a reference to the film. Once I finished threading the elastic through, I added some scallop trimming to the bottom edge of the sleeve like I did with the bloomers. I also added some elastic around the bottom edge of the sleeve, similarly to the bloomers, making it puffy, and so it would stay around my bicep as well. Once I finished adding the elastic to the sleeve, that is the costume finished. I am now ready to go out and terrorise some children. I'm just joking, of course. Yeah, I did actually buy a blue moon and face paint for this project, so I'm dedicated, right? Anyway, before I reveal the costume, I just want to say thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I did have a lot of fun making this video as well, and making the costume, and wearing the costume. So yeah, I want to know what you guys are dressing up as this year for Halloween. So let me know in the comments, and yeah, be ready to be terrified.